In this video, I'm gonna go into tactics versus strategy. See, these words, they often get used interchangeably, but they're not the same thing at all. And if you approach one thing with a tactic when you need a strategy, you are not going to get very far. And I'll tell you exactly when I've done this and why it hasn't worked. My name's Cathryn Lavery. I'm founder and CEO of BestSelf, and we create tools to help you think bigger, achieve more, while creating a more meaningful life. See, strategy is an overarching plan, whereas tactics are specific action steps. Often when we face a problem, we dive straight into tactics rather than making sure that we have the right strategy in place first. See, tactics can feel like a quick, easy fix. They boost our confidence because it feels good to be proactive and actually doing something. But if we're doing something in the direction that we're not supposed to be going, it's not a good thing to be doing. So it's a mistake to jump straight to tactics, even though it feels good. If your plan and direction are wrong, tactics are not going to help you get where you want to go. Like I said, it feels really good and productive to just jump into tactics, but if we're going in the wrong direction, it just doesn't make sense.
I expected the Rocky Mountains to be a little rockier than this.
So let's not make that mistake, and I'll share with you how I've done that many times before. See, if your plan and direction are wrong, tactics are not going to help you get where you want to go. You're just going to be keeping busy doing useless stuff. So let's talk about fitness, for example. We've all been there. You want to get healthy, and so you decide to sign up for an activity. You buy a Peloton bike. You do 1,000,001 things that you could try, from CrossFit to home workouts to Peloton to joining a gym. And that is a tactic. And you wonder why after a few months, nothing is different. It's because you try to solve your problem with a tactic rather than figuring out what is the overall strategy that makes sense. Your overarching strategy doesn't have to be complicated. It actually is not a tool or a thing. Like for health and fitness, it could be, I am going to plan my meals ahead of time, and I'm going to move for 30 minutes every day and eat the right things. That is a strategy that I just gave you. It's not getting a Peloton bike, a keto diet. Yeah, you can do that, but if you just go and buy a bike or, eat healthy for one day, that is just a tactic, not actually a strategy. A winning approach is a strategic plan rather than just going to a specific tool, because then you'll blame the tool and then you'll end up with a house full of exercise equipment that didn't work because you were trying to just buy your way out of the situation. Once you understand the difference between strategy and tactics, you will see this play out across your whole life. So here's my business example. See, a year or so ago, we were struggling with our marketing. We weren't really organized, and rather than step back and say, okay, what are we doing? Let's create a strategy. We started buying all of these tools, lead gen, website, whatever it was. We were trying to solve the problem with a tactic rather than focusing on, okay, what's the big picture here that we should be focused on? We failed. We spent money on a bunch of tools we didn't need, and then it took us time to clean up all of that stuff later on once we had a strategy in place. So it's really easy to be like, oh, this tool is going to solve my problem. But if you don't know what you're doing, it's just spending money and not really thinking of the big picture. Here's some other examples. So say you want to build your network and you use Facebook to build more friendships. That's a tactic. But if you're not personally reaching out to organizing, getting together on a consistent basis, which is a strategy, you're not going to get very far. Now let's talk about fitness. What about investing, like I mentioned, in all the new tactics and bells and whistles, fitness devices? That is a tactic. But if you don't schedule a 30-minute time slot in your daily calendar to ensure you actually use it, that is the strategy behind the tactic. And then time management. So you download a new productivity app. That is a tactic, but you don't sit down and understand your priorities or work on the hardest thing first. And that is another way in which you're trying to solve a strategic problem with a tactic. I should know, my phone's like a productivity app graveyard. I download an app, I'm like, this is the one, and then 3 days later, I'm like, what was that app again? Because I was attempting to solve a bigger problem, like strategic problem, with a tactic. Now you understand the difference between tactics and strategy. So let's explore where you may have gotten the two confused in your life. So pull out your journal, a piece of paper, an empty page, and consider the following questions, or grab our worksheet below. Number one is think back over the past year and write down all the times that you jumped straight to tactics rather than considering the strategy first. And then once you have your list, talk about what happened and how it made you feel once you realized it wasn't working. If you could revisit your initial decision-making process, what would you do differently now that you understand the difference between the tactics you were using and the strategy that you needed? Another video you might like that goes along with this is our video on time versus problems. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and we're excited to make more.